All right, so we'll get things underway. Ivlon says, ew, Unearthed Arcana. Well, you know what? That just means that we can discuss any merits if something seems not so tasty, or if something seems really tasty, then I don't know. We can say how we would use this in our games, perhaps in some sort of a homebrew setting, something along those lines. Oh no, Norton. Oh yeah, that's not the best card, huh? It's not the worst card, I don't think. But you know, when you least want to stub your paw on a route as you're passing by, or you know what, if you're on your way to deliver your Null Scout cookies to Darkwolf, you just sort of like trip and you fall on top of them, and so the box is all squished. Ivlon says, I've only liked the ideas behind 2 Unearthed Arcana, and nobody's going to guess what they are. Divine Soul Sorcerer and the Circle of Spores Druid. Let's take a look at what we have here. Norton, how do I save myself? Roll a d20. Well, it says only a god or the Magic of the Fates card can end this curse. So if someone draws a Fate, Norton, then, or if you or another person wants to undo it, you can with a Fate card. In fact, a Wish might even be able to do that as well, if you say pretty please. All right, here we have the Giant Soul Sorcerer. At first level, a sorcerer gains the Sorceress Origin feature. Giant Soul is available as an option for that feature. The giants once dwelled in a fabled realm known as Astoria, a paradise for their folk that reflected their mastery of the mortal realm. In time, Astoria fell and the giants were scattered and broken. During that mythic era, the giants granted a few chosen individuals among the small folk a shard of their great power. These favored people were caught in the same tragedy that sundered Astoria. Since that time, they have spread across the many worlds of the multiverse. Now and again, one of their descendants manifests the gifts imparted by the giants, granting them sorceress magic that allows them to command the elements and gain the might of a giant. Unearthed Resilience. The resilience of giants flows through your body. At first level, your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level in this class. Okay, so this is that is at least from the Dragon Blood. That's a Dragon Blood feature. In fact, why don't we do this? Dun, 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 dun. Why don't we put this over here? And then we can bring this up over here. And this way we can actually have a side-by-side comparison. Okay. Mark of the Ordning. Hey, Plague Doctor! Peace to you. Yep, Bubonic, this is the Unearthed Arcana that came out. The Giant Soul Sorcerer. Or if you really want to put some oomph into it, the Soul Sorcerer! Mark of the Ordning. At first level, you discover innate magical abilities within yourself that are based on your giant heritage. Select one of the giant types from the Mark of the Ordning table. At first and third level, you learn the spells associated with your choice as shown on the table. These spells count as sorcerer spells for you, but they don't count against your number of sorcerer spells known. Okay. So this does seem to be more of a mirror of the Draconic bloodline. Cloud Giant, Fire Giant. Although this will give you more spells. Or, if you want to focus on another stat, you can cast the same spells without having to necessarily have the higher charisma. But if you're casting spells, you're going to want a high charisma anyway, so you can, get through armor, or otherwise you make it more difficult to save. Plague Doctor's preparing the DM right now, just waiting until everyone gets here. Well, for as much as you want to hang out, Plague, you're welcome. And in fact, if you have any last minute questions, if there's something that we can help you determine before you begin your game, hey, bring it up. Bubonic One Storm Giant. It gives you a Shocking Grasp and Thunder Wave at first level. And then at third level, it gives you Gust of Wind. That's a good question, Evelyn. Plague, if you are going to stream, make sure you put a link. Oh, you're not going to? All right. Soul of Lost Astoria. Starting at 6th level, you gain a benefit whenever you cast one of the following spells granted by your Mark of the Ordning feature. So if you're a Cloud Giant, immediately after you cast any of your Mark of the Ordning spells, you can magically teleport as a bonus action. You teleport to an unoccupied space you see that is no farther away than a number of feet, equal to 10 plus your Constitution modifier. Okay. So if you max out, you can almost get to like a 15-foot. You can definitely do a 15-foot teleport by level 4 if you're a high charisma race going into Sorcerer. At least with the standard array. So doing that, if I don't know if something like a 15-foot teleport is, because effectively that's going to be what it'll really ever be, is 15 feet, unless you do some magic item hijinks. That's not necessarily bad, and yeah, it's a teleport. You can get up a small cliff, I guess, or if someone's grappling you, and you have the ability to cast one of your spells. Oh, stop it, me. I'm sorry if I'm making you yawn out there. It's me kind of getting back into the swing of things. I don't know, casting invisibility and getting a free teleport even 15 feet away. That could be very interesting for positioning yourself. Or for just sort of spying or sneaking. Let's see. Fire Giant, you gain a bonus to the damage rolls of your Mark of the Ordning spells. The bonus equals your Constitution modifier. So higher base damage of Burning Hands, Firebolt, and Flaming Sphere. That's not necessarily bad, although I want to say that fire is one of the most popular damage types, at least for magic. And, well, it'll depend on the DM, but there's a lot of things that have innate fire resistance. And so having a higher base damage on those 3 spells could be good. I think with fire so prevalent, I definitely think that the free teleport is more tactical, but that's because I like to think that I'm more tactical and not just a brute force guy. Not that there's anything wrong with being brute force. Hey, GM Vault. Plague Doctor had a character creation session Sunday night, and I wasn't expecting to actually do a session afterwards, so I mostly winged it. While they were creating characters, I drew up a map. That's pretty much all I prepared. Well, if you need any more help, Plague, let us know. Okay, we'll get there. Frost Giant, immediately after you cast any of your Mark of the Ordning spells, you gain temporary hit points equal to your con modifier, minimum 1. But if the spell is Armor of Agathis, you instead increase its temporary hit points by an amount equal to your con mod. That could be interesting. Especially if you remember a couple weeks ago, we're looking at ways that you could possibly cheese Armor of Agathis. Like if you had some sort of damage reduction and or were a barbarian in addition to being a sorcerer. But yeah, that one's if it buys you a hit or at least a partial hit, all the better. Although with things like Ray of Frost or Hold Person, it seems like you'd be staying away from a group anyway. So I don't know, unless you went like a strength sorcerer and you wanted to be up in the mix. Like for a Frost Giant, you'd almost have to press that assault and be in there to maybe take stray hits for the party, or just to try and, I don't know, damage in some other way. But then again, you're a sorcerer, so guess that depends on how you play. What's the combo with Elemental Adept that you see, Glitch Mouse? Alright, see you later, Plague Doctor. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Hill Giants, immediately after you cast any of your Mark of the Ordning spells, you can target up to 2 creatures within 5 feet of you that you can see. Each target must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be pushed a number of feet away from you equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier, minimum of 1. A target can choose to fail this save. So with things like when 5th edition brings up individual feat, to me in my play style, that might as well not exist, because we use 5-foot grid. So if I push you 6 feet away, I don't know. Like I just don't keep track of individual feet. So in my own anecdotal whatever, this wouldn't really be, unless you maxed out your Constitution to be able to push 10 feet. I don't know. Going individual feet just feels really awkward for me. Oh, Flame Giant plus Adept. Oh, that's right, because, yep. Oh, got it, Glitch Mouse. Stone Giant. Immediately after you cast any of your Mark of the Ordning spells, you gain a bonus to AC equal to your Constitution modifier until the end of your next turn. Stone Giants get Entangle, Resistance, and Spike Growth. I guess that's okay. I don't know. Do any of you play melee sorcerers? Or sorcerers that are in a position where you're just getting constantly beat on? And Storm Giant, immediately after you cast any of your Mark of the Ordning spells, up to 3 creatures of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you take lightning damage equal to your Constitution modifier. See, now that is a very solid ability. Compared to the other ones, in my opinion, that is damage, it's quantifiable, and it has an excellent range. We actually have a UA-based Phoenix Sorcerer in one of the games I'm in, and they have Adept, and it's rude. Yeah, it does, Derek, and so in that case, if people want to account for every foot of distance, then you know what? 1 foot might as well be an extra 5 feet, because the 5 feet just won't work out. And then we get into a lot more possible interactions of consuming your total movement speed, of attacks of opportunity, and things like that. And personally for me, I have no interest in accounting for every single foot of my character's movement if I'm a player, or if I'm a DM. I don't have time, or I don't care about your character's movement. And if I push you 6 feet instead of 5. So to me, my personal opinion, stuff like Hill Giant and stuff like well, definitely Hill Giant just seems irrelevant unless you're gonna max something out, or if I as a DM say that's fine, but I'll round up or down as necessary. I cast shovel, says Derek. Have at you. A shovel was used in the last weekly one-word adventure. Frost Giant seems alright. I mean, carrying temps, it doesn't necessarily say for how long you have the temporary hit points, but even just treating it like 4th edition, this one's okay for Frost Giant, because look, stray hits happen, and that's fine. Then again, if you're going to be out of combat, and you cast the spell and you get the temps, then you've gotten to use that ability once in combat if you're never hit. Which I imagine a lot of sorcerers aren't going to be up in melee. Though, you know what? If this empowers you to build a melee sorcerer, I guess that's fine, but then why are you swinging a sword instead of casting unlimited power through yourself? So this is me looking at it through... I am trying to take a storyteller's view of it, but looking at the mechanics, Frost Giant is a great initial effect, or I don't know, something along those lines, but it's kind of a one and done for a lot of combats. Fire Giant's good because that's consistent. That's just consistent damage. Stone Giant, you get the bonus to your AC. It says until the end of your next turn. I guess that's okay. I guess that's good. You could run around and maybe try and bait out some AOs or something. Again, for a sorcerer, trying to put a sorcerer into a melee position, you know, unless you're playing like a grabby sorcerer with a bunch of touch spells, which is possible. I imagine there's like Shocking Grasp and whatnot is on the sorcerer spell list. Ivlon says, yeah, I change it from feet to squares. 1 plus con mod squares away. Yeah, I get what you're saying, because look, a lot of people don't have a very high con. And so what, you'd be looking at maybe pushing 3 squares? Oh no, you have a Warlock-ish ability. Glitch, there's not enough 5e touch spells. You know what, Glitch, my favorite spell to use in, my favorite touch spell is Detect Fire. It has a range of touch, and it will tell you if something is on fire or not. You just keep it at 5 feet and in bins. And so Storm Giant, I think, is Storm Giant hands down. I mean, because you're casting damage spells, and especially look, actually here's Shocking Grasp, Thunder Wave, and Gust of Wind. Yes, you are going to be casting oh, hey! Odinson! Speaking of...
haven't been on in a while. How's everybody doing? Covered Mordecanians yet?
Yes, we have covered Mordenkainen's Odin. It's fun hearing that. Thank you for using the text to voice, by the way. Welcome and thank you. And we. Oh, GM, thank you very much. Oh my gosh. Oh, buddy. We did cover Mordenkainen's, and right now we're going over the new Unearthed Arcana. You just need that spell if your passive perception was like minus 47. So Storm Giant, hands down. As a sorcerer, you're damaging, casting. Oh, what? I can burst and hit 3 other things? Damage and cast and burst. This one is for a classic what you'd think of a sorcerer. I don't see why would you play something else. I guess you could argue then that some of these souls allow you to play a melee sorcerer, but unless you're playing, Feely Fingers sorcerer, if you're going around like, kind of like you're pantsing all your enemies, like you run up, go hee hee, electric grass pants, and then you run away or something. The extra AC or the extra temp hit points are nice, but you're not going to use them every round like you will the Fire Giant or the Storm Giant abilities. And then even the ones that get an occasional use, like the like this frost armor or whatever, equal to your con mod. Okay, so this will grant you like what, 2-3 maybe temporary hit points when you cast this. Meanwhile, you're hitting for unlimited power as a Storm Giant, or you get a bonus to your damage rolls of all your spells as a Fire Giant. Even the teleport, and again we get into the whole, okay, great, so I can teleport 12 feet instead of 10 feet. Though, if we did go with the teleportation or the pushing from cloud or hill, probably just 5 feet or like 1 square plus, one, kind of in 4th edition language, 1 square plus 1 other square for every point, con modifier point that you have. What about a Sorc using Shadow Blade from Xanathar's? I don't know of that spell, Glitch Mouse. I suppose that could work then. If you want to build a melee sorcerer, if you have the ability to do so with some kind of a spell, but that, if we're getting to specific spells, then at that point, if you're using a Shadow Blade, you still have to use these other spells. And if you're using these spells, that's taking up your action instead of you using your Shadow Blade. And so it comes down to the bottleneck of, economy of action. Rage of Fallen Astoria. Starting at 14th level, you gain the ability to channel the souls of your ancestors into your physical form. When you start casting a sorcerer spell on your turn and expend a spell slot, you can increase your size by 1 category, from medium to large, for example. This increase lasts for 1 minute, or effectively an entire combat, as most combats only go for like a minute. It ends early if you die or are incapacitated. Until it ends, you enjoy the following benefits. Your current hit points and your hit point maximum both increase by 1 per sorcerer level. Your reach increases by 5 feet. Your walking speed increases by 5 feet. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. You gain a bonus to the damage rolls of your melee weapon attacks. Okay, so yes, this does seem like they want you to go with a melee Sorc here. You gain a bonus to the damage rolls of your melee weapon attacks. The bonus, although in this case then, unless the spell that you just mentioned, Glitch Mouse, says it counts as a melee weapon, then that wouldn't necessarily apply here. You gain a bonus to the damage rolls of your melee weapon attacks. The bonus equals your Constitution modifier. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Then, so as a Sorc, it's not letting you get an extra attack. So you're still only swinging one time here at 14th level. You're swinging for one time with a melee weapon, and you get a what? A plus 2 or 3 bonus damage if you hit. So, I don't know. Combat-wise, Utility-wise, really good. Okay, it does count as a simple melee weapon. Okay. Then, yeah, I guess that's one way to do it. And so you'd be kind of... I don't know. Are there other spells that simulate that? Otherwise, this class may as well just say that this is the Shadow Blade Sorcerer option. Although, even still, if it doesn't give you an extra attack, you're still only swinging once per turn. I don't know. Does this feel kind of bottlenecked to you all? Or is there something greater that I'm missing? Because, again, I haven't read Xanathar's cover to cover or have a lot memorized or Volos or whatnot. And also that's meaning that this class was built around you necessitating having splat books and not going off of the player's handbook, which would be kind of a violation of the spirit of what 5th edition has been built around or centered on in order to keep power creep under control. It feels like they don't know what to do and are slapping stuff together. So Ivalon, I get that feel like this was people going around saying, I think these are good ideas. And you know what? In concept or thematically, this is a really good idea. I dig the spirit of this. Unless you're very specifically making a character to fit abilities, which then, what are you playing, a character or are you just playing a spell list? I don't know if you could really enjoy all the features of what this Unearthed Arcana has to offer. Ivlon says, especially since the Giants module is already over and done with, what's the point of putting this out here now and not back then? And then Blessing of the Allfather. At 18th level, your Constitution score increases by 2 up to a maximum of 22. In addition, you can now use Rage of Fallen Astoria twice between rests, but no more than once a turn. If you use that feature while under its effects, it increases to your size. Okay, so there's a typo. If you use that feature while under its effects, it's increase. Oh, okay. Hang on. No. I think I get it. Its increases to your size, hit points, reach. That's just kind of awkward. Hit points, reach, and walking speed are cumulative. Okay, so you can now become a huge creature, right? Medium, large, huge, and then gargantuan. Or no, wait, is it gargantuan huge? Tiny, small, medium, large. Maybe it's gargantuan that's a 3x3. And then huge is a 4x4? Or is that 5x5? Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So you'll have a character on the map that has a 10-foot reach. It has a base, walking speed higher. And so in looking at this too, it's really trying to encourage you, like, because if you have a normal constitution, your chance to increase your con is kind of wasted. Would that be a detriment if you have a huge creature on the field, especially as a caster? It's not that you wouldn't, you'd have a good amount of hit points, right? Because this sorceress class wants you to take Constitution, and it does, and I presume as much because it reflects being a giant, but also because it knows that it wants you to wade into the middle of combat and take a bunch of hits. But if you can go from having 9 people around you as a medium or a small creature, you now have you can now have 16 people circle around you as a huge creature. And plus, so in this case, whereas we already have paladins stretching you between charisma and strength, this is a sorcery build that will urge you to maximize charisma, constitution, and either strength or dex. But I think they're leaning towards strength. And so now you have a class that's trying to have you maximize 3 stats. And I get the concept. I like the concept, but it just... I don't think it can be played effectively. I don't know if I'm wording that correctly. Odinson, there's a really good thread on Ian World or GITP about the Sorc Pally multiclasses, the Sorkadin. They'll have or will probably dig deep and do the math if there's anything. But if you're a Sorc trying to twin a sweet spell, haste, hold, etc., the last thing you want is more people trying to hit you. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess looking at Giant Soul, you could just be a Pyromancer and I get more damage. Or I could be a Storm Giant and deal more damage. I kind of like the mobility that the Cloud Giant gives you. But again, I just personally don't have an interest in micromanaging how many individual feet your character moves. And so... Again, my personal opinion, you could play very differently. Maybe you do track that. If you move 13 feet, fire an arrow, move 3 more feet, fire your second arrow, and then continue the rest of your movement, and you have it all plotted out, hey, you know, that's your play style. I'm not going to poo-poo on it. But when you're in the middle of combat, and combat already takes a long time, do I know or care if you're 13 feet away? And will you remember, or I remember, that you're somehow floating 3 feet between this move and the next, so that you'll get an extra couple feet, you'll get an extra square on your next movement? Derek says, long story short, they don't feel like they don't suit the theme of what they're supposed to be, and seem to be wildly balanced out without any regard. I think they're thematic to the Giants, Ivalon. I think that they've treated the Giants well with this. I just don't think it's appropriate for a sorcerer. And this is me again. I'm very much trying to be open-minded and think I've never played a melee sorcerer, but I don't really, anecdotally, I haven't heard anyone who has. And besides trying to have, encourage you to maximize your hit points, and they give you more hit points to make sure that you can take a couple hits, or more than a couple hits, you could argue, all right, so there's a feat tax built in, because I'm obviously going to have Warcaster in order to keep up my concentration, or to be able to do other things, like, wield a weapon or something like that. So it just feels like this is a tri-stat class with a built-in feat tax, and Derek says, this feels like a push for concepts that aren't thought out and don't serve any purpose, that hasn't already been done, or better to another spec. Yeah, I don't know if this would be better than to be like an Oath of the Giants paladin. I think something like this might actually work. You have battlefield control. You have punishing effects if you're hit. Things like that. I think like an Oath of the Giants. If we were to make this into a paladin oath, I think this would be a lot cooler than a sorceress, because paladins are already going to have charisma, strength, and constitution. Glitchmouse says, I'm still annoyed that in one game I'm in, our warlock has the most HP out of the entire party. Or a giant's totem for a barbarian? Ooh, Derek. Yes, strength and con, especially maxing out your con. That's true. Derek, that is a good point, actually. So even above paladins. Is that, so Ivlon's disagreeing with me that these don't do giants justice at all. I guess to open that up then, Ivlon, what would you do to have these honor the giants out of the monster manual or out of the D&D culture? You know what, and so Derek, I actually like your idea more than just a paladin like the Oath of the Giants. And I think Odinson, I read your comment. If not, then it was Hexblade's level 1 ability can let you eschew strength or dex for charisma. There might be something there. Let's take the Storm Giant. What does the Storm Giant soul get? Let's go down here. Immediately after you cast any of your Mark of the Ordning spells, up to 3 creatures of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you take lightning damage equal to your Constitution modifier. Oh, he's sitting on all those HP, and he's staying in the back line. And as for the spells, Ivlon, to help, it gives you Shocking Grasp, Thunder Wave, and Gust of Wind. One hit point per level, Shocking Grasp, and an even worse damage ability than Shocking Grasp. Glitch says, meh. Also because it's really silly because we have a gunsmith, a sorcerer, a monk, and him. He is the tankiest. Hill Dwarf could make it interesting. Well, same for a Hill Dwarf Draconic bloodline, because if we look over here, remember that you get Draconic Resilience instead of, which is the same thing as the Jotun Resilience. At first level, your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level in this class. Now, this one, though, gives you a 13 plus Dex natural AC. Whereas this one only gives you the 1 hit point. And if you want, I guess, kind of a temporary AC boost, that could be your, it's your Frost Giant. No, that's Temps. Your Stone Giant. He's a Hexblade patron with Tome Pact. It's silly, but it works. Oh, so his letter opener is his is his Hexblade, as he receives missives from various colleges and communications with various people. He just wields his letter opener as his hexblade. You'd give them some kind of augury ability as a storm giant. Yeah. So I think this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea for a sorcerer. I do like what Derek said, that this would be something really fun to play a barbarian who has like giant's blood, you know, in him or something. You know, this... you just have like a Hodor totem or something like that. You know, because look, to have a barbarian in the middle of combat, you know, just come up and go like Enoch Chuck, and he grows, and now all of a sudden you have a 10-foot tall, you know, barbarian swinging, or a 15-foot tall barbarian swinging, plus all the hit points. I don't know if that'd be necessarily overpowered. Maybe. But if it's a totem variant, then it wouldn't necessarily get a bunch of this stuff, because totems just slot in like 3 different kinds of abilities. But in this case, I guess instead of the animal totems, you have 3 different animal totems. This would just give you like a couple different giant types. Plus, storm giants are amphibious, and their spell list is more focused on movement and controlling the weather. Well, I mean, they're just latently or naturally a higher level monster, and we're talking about the spells that it gives you at 1st and 3rd level. Derek says, "Let me explain. You use a sword. Grom uses a tree. You kill a man with a single stroke. He stops a whole cavalry charge with a single swing." There you go, Derek. Just cast a will save spell against the barbarian. You'll be fine. Yeah, there you go. Their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. Kronk Smash. Kronk doesn't necessarily save. I actually, I got to use the polymorph spell against my PCs I got to use the polymorph spell against my PCs in this final fight we had in my campaign. And it's amazing what a single spell will do when you turn someone into a dog and they just run away from combat, and you completely remove someone from the battlefield until, you know, something happens. In this case, after the first form of the boss was destroyed, the dog came back thinking it was safe, and realizing that the dog had been, you know, the dog was their friend. One of them just like gave the dog a quick swift to the ribs to, kill it, or to pop it out of its polymorph form. And so I made sure to narrate that as the person reverted back to their normal form, the last thing they remembered as a dog was hearing the crunch of their ribs breaking under the boots of their companion as they tried to bring him out of polymorph form. As they tried to bring her as the character that was polymorphed. And, it's just like you had a big bruise on your side. Not hit point damage, but cosmetically a bruise. I've always wanted to play a half-orc, says GM Vault. Half-orc rogue who never stealths. He'll just intimidate everyone. Gorg not here, you no see Grog. I think that's a viable build, GM Vault. It's, you play the heavy or the enforcer or the you're just like the big Goomba, the Palooka. You're the guy who breaks kneecaps when people don't pay their insurance on time. You're a bouncer. Well, Glitch Mouse, so all in all, those were my impressions on the new Unearthed Arcana. It's something to consider. I just don't think as it can ever really be used well. Or it might be more appropriate for another class. I finished a 7-page write-up on Thieves' Cant for my rogue players. Nice, GM Vault. Was it you that shared the Reddit article that was talking about Thieves' Cant? Okay. Yeah, thank you for doing that. I was reading that over, and it's a lot of fun. I like a lot of the euphemisms there. Glitchmouse, yeah, I feel like a lot of the Sorceress Origin UAs are like, well, what if you were descended from, and then they throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I appreciate their creativity and throwing something out there, but this one just isn't, this one's just not really resonating. Although, if we found a way to turn this into a barbarian thing, this has a lot. I think this has a lot more potential. Dale Kingsmill did a decent video on it too. On the Thieves' Cant Reddit article, you mean, GM Vault? And also, if you want to share that, you can do so in the YouTube section on our Discord too. I made mine a combo of the Reddit article, her video, 5 websites, and 2 books on Regency slang. I have a, you know what, GM Vault? I have a document around somewhere as well that I can try and find for you that has a list of actual historical Thieves' Cant words. Although, I don't know, you may have already seen it in your research. It sounds like you were really thorough. Ninbin says, I feel like a giant patron for the Warlock would be pretty fun. You know, when you say that, Ninbins, that reminds me of the cover of Volo's Guide to Monsters, doesn't it? Like, just from your one sentence there. Yeah, that would be really interesting, wouldn't it? You work for the... in fact, maybe that even would conform more to what Ivalon's concept of giants would be. You know, so there you are, standing before your frost giant patron. You know, he leans down to regard you as the minute speck that you are. Hey, Hakora! Welcome to you and others. And hopefully I'm not presenting this cheer in the 30 seconds that Twitch is going to force a Twitch is going to force a commercial on you while I'm talking, and you're not going to be able to hear it. Glitch Mouse, I feel like there should be an ancient dragon warlock patron, but people would probably think it overlaps too much with sorcerer. And you know what? If that's the case, that's in my opinion, that's fine. Glitch Mouse. Lawful good warlock of giants, a noble spirit, embiggens the smallest man. Yeah, I think a giant patron would be very interesting. Even an ancient, an ancient worm, or something along those lines. Or even if it's not a physical dragon, because many dragons may not want to share their power. It could even be some sort of, I don't know, like Eo or Bahamut or something along those lines. Or just, some sort of cumulative spirit of dragons, or, some kind of, like, dragon template creature. What a cromulent word. Oh, so Hakora, are you there? Did you load in? If so, hello to you and all those who came over with you. Thank you very much for the host. Hmm. All right. Well, you know what? I will put this in the workshop. I'm gonna get up and take a not too long of a break. I'm gonna refill my. Well, I had some tea. I'm gonna refill my pitcher with some water. You know, get up and just stretch a little bit. I don't think I'm gonna need the full 10 minutes because I didn't eat that long ago. And when I come back, we can still talk about this. There's a character we can make for the week. But look, we're here together, and whatever comes up, we're a community. Let's talk about it. Let's find out what's on each other's minds. And if we want the mental exercise in making a character, hey, we'll get to it. Get it, the guy in the Discord. Thank you, GM Vault. Ninbins, technically, you could be a warlock of Tiamat, as in some cases she's trapped in the first layer of the infernal plane. Ah, so as a fiend. Glitchmouse says EO would be interesting, considering EO is like kind of out in the aether, technically dead these days, right? Because Tiamat and Bahamut were made from him, or is that no longer a thing? Even if it's not a thing, it can be a thing at your tabletop, though, Glitch.